crime pod. Have you ever just wanted to get right to the heart of a good story, like something that really, um, pulls you in?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I want to go deep, but maybe I just don't have the time to read, a bunch of different articles.
Exactly. Like, I want the info, but I need someone to do the legwork.
Right. And that's exactly what we're all about here on the deep dive.
So today, we took a look at a specific crime podcast.
And we're going to break down the most, interesting parts just for you.
All right, so the podcast we dove into is the Desi Crime Podcast.
And basically, it covers like a lot of crime cases from South Asia.
Okay, so like India, Pakistan, Nepal,
Yeah.
that region.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like they're pretty popular with people who are really into this kind of stuff,
Mhm. Yeah, looks like they got a bunch of positive reviews.
hmm
Specifically, people were saying that the research is super thorough and the storytelling is really engaging.
Oh, and I saw this one comment that was like, if you're a fan of true crime, this podcast is an absolute gem.
Whoa.
Huh?
Okay, they must be doing something right if they're getting reviews like that.
Yeah, definitely. And when you just glance at some of their episode titles, you can kind of get a sense of the kind of stories they cover.
Yeah, like what have they got?
Well, there's one that's called Not So Jolly Joseph India.
Okay, just the name itself sounds kind of like unsettling, right?
Right. There's definitely some irony there. And then there's another one called Nirbhaya, the story of Jodi Singh India, which was like a huge case in India.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. It really sparked a lot of activism and important conversations.
Exactly. And it shows that they're not afraid to tackle these big stories that, really had an impact.
Definitely. And then there's an episode about the brutal murder of Leila Khan India, who was a Bollywood actress.
Oh, wow. So they cover different types of cases, too.
Yeah, it's not just like one type of crime or one type of victim. It seems like they have a pretty wide range.
That's cool. And another thing that we noticed was the feedback about their delivery style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some people mentioned that it's very casual, which some listeners liked, but others felt like it was maybe a bit insensitive considering, they are talking about some pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hmm.
It's definitely a tricky balance to strike when you're talking about real life tragedies.
For sure. But in terms of accessibility, it looks like the podcast is pretty easy to find.
Oh, yeah. You can find the Desi Crime Podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Yeah.
Spotify, all the major platforms.
Yeah, and they have a pretty active Instagram account too.
Oh, that's cool. So people can like follow along and get updates and stuff.
Exactly. And they actually had their first live event in Mumbai back in February where they recorded an episode called The Brutal Nara Killings.
Oh, a live event.
Oh.
That's awesome. It seems like they're building a real community around this.
Yeah, for sure. And they even have a YouTube playlist with some visuals related to their content.
Oh, wow. So it's not just audio. There's like a visual element too that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to reach people in different ways, which is cool.
So basically, the Desi Crime Podcast offers like these really in-depth looks at true crime stories specifically from South Asia.
And they're not shying away from difficult or complex cases, which is great.
Yeah, and they've definitely gotten a lot of attention for their research and their storytelling, even though the delivery style isn't for everyone.
Right, but it's clear they're passionate about what they do and they're finding an audience who really connects with that.
And it's really easy to find and listen to.
So if you're looking for something new in the true crime genre, you might want to check them out.
All right, so for all you listeners out there thinking about diving into the Desi Crime Podcast, here's a little something to consider. Given that they're focusing on these kind of underreported and intricate cases from South Asia, what kind of challenges do you think they might face specifically in that part of the world? Like with different cultural contexts, maybe even legal systems. It's something to think about as you listen and learn more about these fascinating and often heartbreaking stories.
Yeah, definitely worth pondering.